Karin.
And I'm Kathryn.
And we're going to talk all about albums today as we continue our series on wedding photographers. So now your wedding's done. You've gone on your honeymoon. You've enjoyed some time together. You've gotten your photos back. And now it's, what do we do with them? We don't, some people, like you said, are just going to look through them once, have their favorites, and then move on from there. But there's also options of albums. Mm-hmm. So, why would someone maybe choose to get an album versus just getting their digital delivery of their photos?
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but my phone has my entire life on it in pictures. And how often do I scroll through to get to 5 years ago? A lot of people, when they just have their pictures digitally and don't print them out in any sort of way, will end up looking at them less. And part of the joy of getting all of these memories preserved is that you go back and you relive them, because this is when you fell in love with your spouse. This is the moment where you felt the most joy in your relationship up to that point. And it was this momentous occasion. You spent all this money, all this time, all this energy making it this perfect day for yourself. You want to go back and remember that. It helps you remember why you fell in love with your spouse in the first place. It's always good for a marriage to remember why you fell in love with your spouse in the first place.
Yes.
So only having them digitally, while it's great to be able to have them digitally, you can move them anytime you want. It's a better storage medium than printing them all out. It's still, you don't look at them as often when they're on a computer screen. And going through 300, 400 photos on a computer screen is very straining on the eyes, on the body, sitting that long. So having them printed and up on a wall, having those great photos, those 50 top ones that you absolutely love in an album that you have sitting on your coffee table that you can pick up at any time and just flip through it and get all those memories back is always a better way to keep it all fresh.
And I think it's also true that, we have our five senses, right? So, and our touch sense is really one of our most sensitive, right? And it's the one that is the most, emotion evoking, right? If you feel something, if you pick something up and you have a toy or you have a bear from your childhood and you pick, as soon as you pick that up, just all of those like, oh, I remember sleeping with this and all, it really evokes that emotion associated with that either item or day in this case. So when you pick up that album, and it's almost even like as soon as your hands touch the cover, you're just like, oh, I love it, right? It just, it gets all the feels, right?
Literally all the feels.
literally, right? I mean, and it, like I said, it's one of those things that it's almost in today's society is the touch sense, the touch sense is forgotten, and you can even think about your attire from the day. You remember putting the dress on or putting your suit on or putting your shirt on, and just how that felt of like, oh, like, especially because it's typically not like anything else you've put on before, right? And same thing, your wedding album is not going to be like any other book, right? It's going to feel different. The pages are different. The, kind of the texture of the paper, the texture of the cover, all of that. It really kind of goes to, evoke the emotions of the day. And it really is, it's a happy day. It's, you go back and you're just like, ooh. I mean, it's even for me, and I know the same for you, like you think about your wedding day and you're just like, ooh,
Yeah.
Or there's even specific moments during the day when you flip to that page in your album and you're just like, oh, I remember that. Oh, and remember that. And, it gets you reminiscing and all of that. And you don't get that same feels,
Nope, going click, click, click,
right?
Computer. Not the same.
Especially because you end up sitting like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You hit that 225 and you're like, how many? Oh, a 450. Oh, right?
You start to feel how many photos you have.
Exactly. Yes. And you're just like, oh, okay. But in that album, you're excited. You're excited to turn the page. You're excited to do all of those things. And I know we've talked about too of, different generations experience things in different ways. So sharing that album with your parents or your grandparents, or even, potentially your future children. My kids look at a photo album and they're just like, what kind of unicorn is this? Because
it's not a phone.
Right. Right? They don't, because it's not something that they experience. But you have those different generations who will experience that in different ways as well. Because you have, say your grandparents who will reminisce their own wedding day looking at your album. And that's not something you can get on a screen.
No.
And it's that, I think that's what always sticks with me when I think about, the album, even just like I said, looking at the cover before you even pick it up, and you're just like, ooh, yeah, this is gonna be good, right?
The best story ever.
Exactly. And it's, it really is, you don't read a fairy tale on a computer screen. No. Right? It doesn't have the same effect of like, especially if it's illustrated and it has all those things, and you get to put your own words to the pictures of the fairy tale. And that's what's great about an album. I really like that about that. So if you have any questions about any of the videos you've watched, please feel free to reach out at photosbyorion.com. Also available on Facebook, Instagram. Email is contact@photosbyorion.com, or the good old telephone, which is 503-385-1435.